Hi there, and welcome to another episode of The InEVitable. This is MotorTrend's podcast where we talk about the future of the car, the future of mobility. Where are we going and how are we going to get there? As always, I'm Johnny Lieberman, joined by Ed Lowe, but today we're not talking about cars.
No, we're talking about e-bikes. We're talking about electric bicycles with pedals, without pedals, electric motorcycles, with the Chief Growth Officer of Cake e-bikes, a guy by the name of Erik Asmussen.
Yeah, and Cake is a premium Swedish brand. They're cost a little bit more than others, but they're sort of more rugged, more overbuilt. You'll hear all that, but the one thing we didn't get to in any great detail was they have an initiative to fight poaching.
Yes, poaching in Africa of like elephants and rhinos. And essentially 3% of their sales go to this electric bush bike initiative.
And by the way, that's bikes and merchandise. So if you want to help out, you can buy yourself a cool T-shirt or hat.
T-shirt, yeah. And as we get into, this is very much aligned with their product, the advantages of e-bikes. They're quiet, they're light, they have good range. And
it turns out if you want to sneak up on a poacher at night, e-bikes are a great way to do it.
Right. So we talk about a lot of, their mission, growing the brand, growing this premium e-bike, fighting competition, finding a marketplace here in the U.S. And it's a great conversation with Erik. For you sports fans, you'll notice that he looks surprisingly like former Dodger Justin Turner, complete with the LA Dodgers hat. So that's pretty funny. You might not get over that if you're watching this on YouTube. But let's bring him on. Chief Growth Officer for Cake Bikes, Erik Asmussen. Welcome, Erik Asmussen, Chief Growth Officer for Cake e-bikes. Cake e-bikes, that's the full company name?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cake, C-A-K-E. We're just going to spell it out there because there are a lot of e-bike manufacturers out there. So I'll ask you the first question. What sets your brand apart?
Ooh, an easy one off the bat.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a great start. I think that us being, as we always say, light, quiet, and clean has been what made us stand out, and that we're in the premium segment. And we're not initially a e-bike company in that sense. We're kind of a hybrid somewhere in between the electric mountain bike and the electric motorcycle.
So can you define those terms? Because you gave me an OSA to borrow, and I'm still playing around with it.
Gave him a what?
An OSA. We'll get to it. It's the orthopedic shoe of e-bikes, but I think it's the coolest one. And I tell everyone, I'm like, yeah, I'm riding my e-bike. Like this morning, I took my kid to school on it. He loved it. And they go, oh, has it got pedals? I'm like, well, no. They go, well, it's a motorcycle. I go, well, it's not really a motorcycle. So like, what's an e-bike? What's an electric motorcycle? What's an electric mountain bike? Like, define these terms.
Fantastic. You got another 3 hours?
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. So here in the U.S., it's different from state to state. So like in California, for instance, everything that does not have pedals, that's in motorcycle. Oh. You need an M1 license for riding anything that does not have pedals. And I guess you have one of those.
Oh yeah. Several.
So that's kind of the definition here.
Okay. And what state should I move to?
New York.
Okay.
So New York, where there you can use one of our bikes that are capped at 30 miles per hour. Then you can drive that with your normal car driver's license.
Okay.
But then, on the other hand, getting a motorcycle license in California is let's say this politely, incredibly easy.
Yes.
It's like you just kind of ride around in a circle in between some cones, and there you go.
Yes, it's kind of like getting a driver's license. Yes.
So wait, okay. So right off the bat, in California, it's defined by some hardware you have or have not on the vehicle, and then in New York, it's defined by the speed.
Yes, it is, and but you also got weight, you got power. This is gonna take forever if we're gonna get into.
So you're real quick, but you're saying it really does, like a lot of things in the U.S. It is state by state. The regulations just vary. Montana will be different than Kansas. Will be different than Florida.
Well, let me ask you a key question, because you said M1 with pedals in California, regular driver's license in New York. Do you sell a bike and in a state where you don't need either? Like if you're a kid and you don't have a license, is it okay for you to ride an e-bike?
Yeah, e-bike. The definition of an e-bike is actually something with pedals, so
Yes.
that we just keep that clear. We have e-bikes as well.
Okay,
those
right.
have pedals, and those you can use at a younger age
With no license.
No license. Some states say that you have to be over 12 years old. Some states say you have to have a helmet up to 18, and it's a little bit different. That's e-bikes.
Okay.
That's also why a lot of manufacturers who actually are doing motorcycles just put pedals on them to get around that.
Right.
So, but then
Right.
then you have another aspect of things. Is like if you buy something and you're going to use it for your private use, so like for your ranch or something.
Sure, yeah,
yeah.
all bets are off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started with an off-road bike called Calc, and that's important that you say Calc because we've had.
Yes, it's pronounced differently in different places. Yes,
Exactly.
it's
No,
K-A-U-L-K, right?
Just K-A-L-K. Calc.
K-A, okay. And that means something in Swedish?
Yes, that means limestone.
Okay. So, yeah.
It kind of brings back to nature and where it all started from our CEO and founder called Stefan. He has a summer home out on an island outside Stockholm where he kind of got the idea because he just wanted to go out riding, didn't want to disturb the neighbors, and he was a little bit tired of the pedaling aspects of things on the flat. So it's just like, okay, let me just buy a bunch of electric motorcycles and start trying them out. And then when he got them, he got really inspired of doing them much better with higher premium quality, something that lasts. And the whole sustainability issue that we have today is not always about being sustainable or not in the exact product, but it's like avoiding overconsumption.
So in other words, you
build
buy
something that
it and
lasts.
it would, which is smart, yeah.
Yeah, and we try to do it more like Lego, for instance. So if there's a part that's not working, you'll do it very fast, like service-wise. You just exchange that part for another part that works, and then we can take our time to make that one work, put it back in another bike that we call Recake, and then sell it again at another price point. So it's as sustainable as possible.
Okay. I got like a billion questions for you.
Shoot.
You said the first thing about I remember two of the three you said. Light, and then the last one was premium.
Now it's actually light, quiet, and clean.
light, quiet, clean.
Yeah.
And then premium.
Yep.
How light are you? Let's be honest. 'Cause I look at these, but I've actually been looking. The lightest ones are like still 37 to 40 pounds. Sorry, this is English units or American units.
20 kilos.
Yours look pretty burly.
It's 70 kilos, but
Well, for which bike?
for the Calc, the race.
Which is the biggest one?
Yeah, but it's
That's the one that looks like a motorcycle if you're on
exactly,
the website.
and there are motorcycles. We have to remember the ones that we're talking. They're equivalent to a 125cc. So if you look at other alternatives within the 125cc and being electric, it is light, quiet, and clean.
What is a 125cc motorcycle that burns gas weigh? Do we know? Because I just don't know anything about motorcycles.
125.
It's in
like
Europe. In Europe, you got something that's called the light motorcycle license, so you can ride that before you go into the heavy stuff, and that's up to 125cc. And then if you have an enduro bike on a track, it might be 350 or 450.
No. I mean, what's the weight
the weight
of a
in that
125cc bike?
That I don't know.
I'm looking it up right now. So let's call it a Honda
Honda 125
Trail 125 would be
good equivalent. Are you going to have this? Are they going to have this?
256 pounds.
Okay, so if you said 70 kilograms, so
that's
70
about
kilograms,
150.
170 pounds, 175 pounds. So
Yeah.
it's lighter. Yeah, that makes sense.
154 pounds, 70
Yeah.
kilos.
Okay. Yeah. So
So about 100 pounds lighter.
Yeah. So
Okay.
about, yeah.
All right.
And I mean,
so light.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's light. And also remember that if a combustion engine bike is usually made out of 2,500 parts.
Yep.
Where our bikes is probably a tenth of that, so around
Yeah.
250.
Yep.
So it's less parts, it's
Right.
easier, and
Same parallel for the car business, but actually more because it's an order of magnitude down. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and then at least I'm familiar with your one called the OSA, which is like your city delivery bike, which we can talk a lot about because I'm still just every time I look at this thing, I like it more and more. But there's like, it's a frame. There's not even like any
Weird.
semblance.
I don't have a bike. So strange. I did see you had one in the truck.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
might be gone when I come down to the garage.
But yeah, so it's like it's even like fewer parts because it's like this is a real, in my opinion, like form 100% follows function. There's nothing on this bike that doesn't need to be there from a mission standpoint. There's no decoration.
Nope.
There's no design really.
Nope.
And it's
For the viewers
just
at home,
cool.
for the viewers at home, if you're in front of a computer, you go to ridecake.com. You can go to like our bikes, and you can look at this one called the OSA, which has the umlaut over the O. But for you, if you don't have a computer, imagine the sign for division, like you were writing it out, but you move the dot on the top below the line. That's what the bike looks like. It looks like a line with two dots.
Hang on, that's not. It actually
It is.
It looks like a Bomermobile.
What?
Yeah.
Bomerland.
I heard something else.
Very close.
Yeah.
Hang on. I can never spell it.
So, okay.
I'll find it, but
as
it looks like
as
a Czech bike from the 1920s.
As we
and
talk
30s.
about your designs, and again, I apologize if I'm going to be super offensive here. I did go looking. I live in Redondo Beach, so there's e-bikes everywhere. The dominant brand, I think, is Rad Power. I've seen all the prices on that. Then I've gone to Amazon. I've looked. There's the Chinese e-bike market has exploded. You can get all sorts of ones. Cake, these are your own 100% design, your design. You guys,
Yes.
Where are they made?
They're made in Taiwan initially.
Okay.
And then a couple of years ago, we moved the assembly factory to Sweden as well. So Taiwan is right now. Oh, cool. That's
So
a cool
this
bike. Yeah, I've
this
seen
is a
that bike.
Bomerland.
Yeah.
So again, it's frame
Well,
first.
Close.
Ah, there's a similarity.
But
I hear you. That looks like something that belongs on the moon, but
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so you're doing production in Sweden partially,
Yeah.
and in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't know, I grew up as a bike nerd. Taiwan is like the foremost leader in building all sorts of bicycles.
It is.
They build like everything.
I didn't know
there.
that.
Oh yeah.
There's few places that can build the frames out of aluminum in the way that they manage to do,
Yeah.
and the level of quality and so forth.
So light but very strong. Because that's the problem
Yes.
with aluminum is it's a great light material, but
Yeah.
it is bendier than steel.
Taiwan produces bikes, semiconductors, and boba. Just remember that. Yeah,
Oh,
boba.
my daughter would love that.
So, anyways, okay. So
And then there's, of course, when it comes to Taiwan, there's a lot of like political discussions, and
Yeah.
moving back and forth.
Sure.
Is it correct? Or so, of course, we're looking into alternatives and being ready if we need to be ready. And
What's the Let me ask you a geopolitical question, just to keep it light.
Yeah.
What's the Swedish view of Taiwan? Because obviously as Americans we view it as
speak
like
on behalf of all of Sweden.
yeah. No, just the general like I think most Americans view Taiwan as like a bulwark against like Red China, and we want to
It's just China at this point, but okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah, the CCCP. Sorry, that's Russia. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
The People's Republic. I'm just curious. I've never talked to anyone from another nation about Taiwan, and it's interesting. Like, you brought that up. Like, well, boy, we might have to leave in a hurry.
yeah, I think I would stay out of saying that I'll speak for all the Swedes.
Yeah,
but I'm
okay.
saying like out of a company perspective for us.
Sure.
We've been looking at Vietnam as a potential alternative to Taiwan, because we can't afford not to be able to continue production.
Sure.
And there are things out there that is a bit sketchy in terms of Taiwan's regulations
future. Oh, yeah, yeah.
and bringing also like tax-wise and import-wise to the U.S. and so forth. So at the moment, yes, it works, but in the long run, I think there's need to be looked at alternatives, and we need to have something in North America, so we can see that we are actually accelerating on this market. I mean, I believe in general, like the EVs on two wheels, somewhere where the cars were like 10 years ago. So yes, they're all going to be electric, the bikes in the future. Yes, in some cities, we're ahead. If you look in Asia, if you look in some African cities, I mean, they all have the two-wheelers as a first choice of transportation. Mm-hmm. But I think that we'll definitely go there, but we're a little bit early at this stage. But now I can sense that it's picking up. If I look at our orders, where they were like in April and where they're today, of course, it also got to do that we're putting more power into the U.S. market and North American market. But I can sense that people are a little bit more open to the alternative of having potentially one car. and a bike, because you can squeeze in. You don't have to have traffic. You don't have to.
I'm really glad you said that. So I have two questions.
He's saying it's inevitable.
Yeah, exactly. It's inevitable.
So the one question is really big. The other one is, so what are the what's the advantages of an electric motorcycle over a motorcycle? From a consumer point of view. In other words,
you never have to go to the gas station. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
You don't have to smell like you've been out riding. It's silence. When you're riding, you'll hear everything. You'll actually hear the nature. You hear the birds. You'll hear someone screaming.
car.
You know.
Yeah.
Those are the things, and of course the sustainability side of things, and that you're not polluting.
So hang on, because the one about hearing the car, the motorcycle. Let me just speak. I have an M1 license. I used to ride a motorcycle. The diehard motorcyclists, the guys who like internal combustion motorcycles, will tell you it's not safe because you can't hear you coming. That's why my Harley's got these big pipes and it makes this brrr. So when someone's merging in because they didn't check the blind spot, you just throttle down and you can either accelerate away and give them the finger as you go by them. But
yeah, I agree with that. I had a Street Bob Harley Davidson. Loved it. Woke up all the neighbors' kids every
that I
night.
don't like. Yes.
No. And I somehow it's just like, oh wow, that was fun. This is like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And somehow, yes, you're right. People heard me. You know, you move the throttle a little bit. They move. But it's actually, when I'm on 405 here in Los Angeles and I see how people are riding in between the HOV lane and the other, it's insane. I mean, it's got to be on the motorcyclist's own responsibility somehow that things might happen in front of them. So I would just say that to anyone who says that it needs to be loud, then potentially you just need to be a little bit more awake or go a little bit slower so that you're prepared. Because those things happen with cars or anything anyway. But yes, potentially in the future, it would be a nice thing if EVs, also, when they go slow, you have some sound.
For motorcycle enthusiasts to ever talk about safety in any way, shape, or form is sort of like cherry picking.
Let me just ask you. So you're from Sweden.
Yep.
How long have you been in the U.S.?
Since end of last July.
Okay. Do you think this country's nuts? I mean, they don't allow lane splitting on a motorcycle in Sweden, right? That would be insane.
Yeah, I honestly, I do it, but I don't know if it's allowed. I don't know if it's allowed or not.
But you must look on California highways and think that you guys are crazy.
The craziness of how it's been ridden here is the speed. It's the difference in speed between the cars and the bikes.
Yes, the speed differential.
Because the cars are like just staying there. And someone will be on a phone call or on their phone watching something which they shouldn't.
Right.
And then they just decide to move lanes. And then there's a bike, and that's going to hurt.
Yeah. The bike's lane splitting at like 50, 60 miles an hour.
But if I can just defend lane splitters, like it turns out that's kind of a misnomer. That's not really how people on bikes get injured. It's not from lane splitting.
No, it's the blind left turn. It's the blind left turn.
Yes. Yeah, but
it does seem sketchy, I think.
But,
dude, yes.
And I ride a lot, and I would just say that if you're aware of the dangers of riding a motorcycle in general, then it's safer.
That's why I don't ride a motorcycle.
Well, I was, Freeman Thomas, former guest, now the CEO of Myers-Manx, design legend, blah, blah. I was talking to him about the safety of the Myers-Manx EV and kind of like looking at him sideways when he was saying something. And he goes, Johnny, if the bicycle was invented today, it would be illegal, which I thought was a really good line. But,
it's true.
But so what I was going to say, though, the sound though, like what I've loved about this thing is I've been taking my kid on it, just neighborhood stuff. But what's great is like there's a place at the Rose Bowl called Kid Space, right? And so you ride there, you ride to the Rose Bowl, but then because it's silent and you can go 2 miles an hour, you can just ride over the grass. You ride right up to the entrance and just put it there, and everyone thinks, I don't know what they think it is, but it's not like a rah, 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 aggressive, hurts the children motorcycle, and it goes off road, so then we can ride over to the park, and it's just like it's such a friendlier than a motorcycle. Like motorcycles are aggressive, the bad guys on the bikes chasing the hero.
Yeah, I rode the same bike on the bike path. I'm not saying that you're allowed to do that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
But it's something else.
We went down to the LA River. They got the river walk.
Exactly.
Everyone's going, I don't know, 10 miles an hour on the bicycle. So you slow it down to 10 miles an hour and you follow the bicycles.
Yeah.
And
let's hang on a second. How are you? Your kid is 6?
6, yeah.
How are you? Do you got an extra seat?
He's got
for
an
him?
extra seat. He's got
Like
a helmet.
Same
Seat. Yeah, just bolts right on.
Bolt another one on.
Eric did. Yeah.
No back on it or back?
No back. He just hugs me. Yeah, he hugs me. Puts his feet on the platform, and we go. And he loves. It's great for him. He loves it. I mean, it's like, because it's been interesting living with this thing, just because like
You could put him backwards and you guys go rob banks.
No.
Like in the movies.
No, but forget about the kid for a second. What's been for me is that was my second question. It's really like changed the way I think about like the way cities are built, because I'm sort of like, I think we screwed up.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I think we've made some big, because like now, like if I have to go get coffee or if I have to get dog food or go get like a couple groceries, I take this because it has a huge basket on the front that you can put 2 bags of groceries on, 2 bags of dog food, coffee beans, whatever, or I bring a backpack. And it's like, it's quicker. You can park it anywhere. And it uses like the fraction of the energy of I have an EV, even the EV I have. It's
Okay,
like
Eric, how much are you paying Johnny to be your spokesperson?
zero.
Zero.
Sadly, zero.
Yeah, China did totally screw up, by the way.
China?
They were...
I'm in the U.S.
No. China screwed up about 40 years ago.
Oh, right.
When they had everybody on bicycles. And they said, hey, let's get everybody into a car. And then let's make them electric cars. If they could just have leapfrogged 4 wheels and gone from bicycle to e-bike, it would have been amazing.
So tell us about the OSA though, because it's built as a delivery bike. That's right. It's a last mile delivery contraption.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, I would say that there's very few bikes out there that has the utility side of things. You know?
Right.
And that's where that whole thing was invented. If you're a carpenter, you work in the city center, you bring in with your big van, you have to find a parking space, and then you forgot something at the hardware store, and you have to go and come back. And they can squeeze in way more work with the bike because they can go pick something up, and they'll be right back. There's no traffic and so on. So then we started saying that, okay, this is perfect for the B2B side of things, but it's also great for anyone who just like want that second car but are tired of being stuck in traffic. So then we started with all the things that you can put on. You can have your skis, so you don't have to park at the ski lift. You can have your surfboard. You can have whatever you kind of basically want. We even have a heated and cooled box at the back where you can deliver hot pizza, or you can, like we do in Africa, where we deliver a chilled vaccine. So I mean, it's got great potential of being an sexy alternative to your second car or a car.
And I totally get the carpenter example is interesting because I've been playing with power tools all weekend. You could get a lot of power tools on this thing. Like the baskets are big, and like, you know, as long as the wood is being delivered some other way, like, you know, but like plumbers, whatever, you know, it fits a lot of tools. Yeah, electricians. It fits a lot of tools.
We're totally, I'm sure someone listening is super annoyed. How far does it go on a full charge, and how fast does it go?
It approximately depends because, again, state from state. So it's just 15 miles per hour, then you can basically go forever and ever and ever. Or it's 30 miles per hour. I would say that would last you approximately 2 hours. Or it's the 2.5. And then you have the full-on, like 125 equivalent, then it's 60 miles per hour. And that will probably take you a little bit over an hour or so. I used to commute from Palos Verdes to Venice.
Okay.
So that's with our small battery, that would take you all the way. With the larger battery, I will go there and back. And that's approximately 45 minutes.
But I would also say with the OSA at least, that's a big battery. It's like a 3.5 kilowatt hour battery pack. That, by the way, what's cool is if you live in an apartment, you can unvelcro it and take it in. If you're really strong, you can take it in your house.
How much does it weigh?
Oh boy, it's going to be 90 pounds. I mean, it's
Is it that much?
I took it in the house one time just to do it. I was like, that's really heavy.
It's heavier.
But you can do it. It's a possibility. You can put it on a skateboard and wheel it in.
Yeah.
Hang on, and it's lithium ion?
Yeah.
What kind of cells? Are they laptop battery cells or are they pouch?
I should know that, but I don't in detail. I know the numbers of it. It's different. It's 20 to.
I don't remember,
80,
but I was gonna say I've only been using because I love regen. So there's like a heavy regen mode. So I think
it does regen.
Oh yeah. It's great for. I live in the hills, so for me it's great going downhill. Just charge it up a little bit, and that way you don't have to use the brakes as much. But like, I mean, it goes far on a charge. It's not a problem. And again, it's a neighborhood.
How do you charge it?
You plug it into the wall.
Just
charge
regular.
it. There's a cake charger, but it's really simple. It takes it's as easy as plugging in anything. It's
How far have you gone down? 10%?
I've gone down to
Zero?
probably close to like 10%. Yeah,
How long
right.
did it take to charge back?
It takes 3 hours to charge in the wall.
So
It doesn't take long at
It's
all.
approximately the same thing, riding it and charging it. So which means that if you have a delivery company, you can have 2 batteries. So while you charge,
hot swap them.
Yeah,
You get 3 hours of use,
Yeah.
3 hours of charge. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it every time I turn it on, I'm like, wow, there's still half a battery left. Like it doesn't run out. And I think I've only had to charge it once. I was like, well, I guess I should do something like plug it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much are these things?
Yeah. They're the motorcycle version is 11,000.
That is the Calc.
No,
Maka.
the OSA, but the motorcycle version of the OSA, and the
Okay.
other one is approximately 9,000.
Which I have the website. Which one?
So the OSA Flex,
OSA Flex.
you can probably see it faster and easier there than I know in my head.
What's the difference
As
between
we
the
change prices approximately one time every 3 months or so, depending on exchange rates and so forth.
and what's the difference between the 2 different OSAs?
Yeah, speed.
Oh, just speed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because this one, the other thing, just people listening, what's interesting is you can not only change the level of regen from like none to some to heavy regen, you can actually change the speed. So you can like limit it. I don't know exactly, whatever it is.
Yeah, you have all that in the app as well. So you always know, like if your bike's being moved, you get a notification.
Right.
And if you have a fleet of bikes, you can see where they're all at. You can see what level of batteries they're all at.
But you can because there is this thing, neighborhood electric vehicle, which is a category of vehicles. So you can
the
set
Gem,
it.
right?
Yeah. So you
Golf cart,
or the upcoming the
Myers-Manx.
Manx. But you can set it to like don't go over 25 miles an hour, and then technically it's a neighborhood electric vehicle and doesn't have to meet any whatevers.
No.
So
Oh yeah, and then there's all these. You can just also clip a wire and it makes it go 60 miles an hour.
well, that's
and
the
what all
Manx.
That's what all the kids do.
A lot more than 60 in the Manx. Yeah.
So, but hang on, you said something which is interesting. Because now that you reveal the price, it all starts to make sense. 11,000 is a lot of money. I was looking at some, again, Amazon made in China, $600 e-bikes. But you said this is a potential car replacement.
It is, and then you also have another bike. We have 5 platforms. So one of our other platforms that goes all the way down to $4,000.
And that's the Maka.
That's a Maka, and that's
more like a scooter.
Yeah, that would help you all over the like getting back and forth to school and picking up some groceries and stuff. The OSA we mentioned, which is like in the middle of these two, like the motorcycle, the OSA and the Maka. I mean, the Maka would do just as fine in most of your different errands on a daily basis.
But the Ike, AIK?
That's a new model, and it's got the pedals. So that means that if we're in a dialogue with a delivery company in New York, for instance, they want to be able to park on the sidewalks and use the bike lanes.
They need to have pedals.
They need to have pedals. So that's...
Did the pedals work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. No, but on this one, they actually do work, and it's an amazing cargo-friendly e-bike with pedals.
And this is how much?
64.
So this is more expensive than the Maka.
Yes, it is.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
But let's set the.
You can go. I think it's 220 miles. Is that correct? It's really long. You have 3 different
very
batteries.
long. Yeah. But let's set the parameters.
224. Holy smokes.
So 224 miles is crazy. But like I mean that's more than a lot of
That's more than the EV I drove here. I drove an ID4. That goes longer than an ID4.
But like, it's a thing too. I think when people think about, when you say electric bike, you hear, bicycle in your head and you go, oh, bicycle is $500. And then it's like, oh, an electric one's 3,000 or 4,000. So they're not, they're not as cheap maybe as people who aren't familiar with this type of vehicle think. And yeah, I mean, the OSA is, again, I think a very premium, it's a very heavy duty, well-made piece of hardware.
Yeah.
Not that those aren't well made, but you can tell, like, it's the Rivian of e-bikes, if you will.
It's like your mothership of power tools.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking
overbuilt.
at this one, the Ike. It looks like it has a belt drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not even. So that'll be even more quiet when you're pedaling. Theoretically, lower service because you don't have to. You're not supposed to need to service a belt drive, right? There's no tightening or adjustment.
Yeah. The OSA is also belt drive. I just know about the OSA, obviously.
Yeah. And then the
Disc
Maka is a
brakes.
hub drive, and then the Calc, you can have both belt or chain. So we usually have the chain when we go off-roading.
Yeah.
So there's a potential of you who knows a lot of things that can kind of say, I want the Öhlins shocks, which is air suspension, or I want this, or I want that. Or you can just choose the ones that are already finished and done on the web page and click them home. Or come and visit us at our showrooms around the world, so Paris or Los Angeles, New York, and so on. Try them out.
Some of these don't have. Ike is the only one without suspension.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like a real city bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And so you're depending on the fat tires to smooth out the bumps.
Exactly.
Okay. How does yours ride?
I mean, look, I'm smitten by this thing, so I'm probably not the best person to talk. But I have done a little off-roading, nothing crazy with it, but just like it's really good off-road, except for loose gravel. But I think all bicycles are bad in loose gravel. Yeah, no, it's
You have upside down front suspension.
Yeah.
And a single coil.
Big coil in the rear.
Coil in the back.
Yeah, and with me and my kid, it's like 300 pounds easily, probably more than that. Well, actually, I've lost some weight. But anyways, it was over 300 pounds, and like no problem, like no problem at all.
The only thing you could say is like it's got a smaller wheels. So it's in some sense it's a little bit hard off road, but I've been going off road with that one as well.
Yeah, it's fine. Nice. Yeah, and again, I'm doing like let's say there was green, blue, and black, or your different off roads, like green. Yeah. I'm not really doing anything crazy on that, but it's great. It's just like, yeah, it's the thing. Like I said, it's just really spun my head around, and I think though it's that last little bit of like when you slow down and you're creeping along. It's not a motorcycle. It's not this loud, aggressive thing that everyone's upset if you pull up to the front of a restaurant with.
He'll wave at you and say, "What's that?"
Yeah. Oh, everyone's like, "Whoa, what is that?"
Yeah.
Well, speaking of how cool they look, talk to me about the theft opportunity. People stealing these, or do you have any?
It's not that bad yet, but knock on wood or whatever this is made out of.
Yeah.
But I mean, as soon as you move it, you'll get a notification, and there's lock, and there's the handlebar lock, and you can lock the battery in, and so on. But
talk to me about that. So you have an automatic like a steering lock?
No, not an automatic, like with the key. So when like any other motorcycle, so where you can lock the.
Okay.
And then, of course, you can lock the battery, and then usually most people lock it with a chain, like any other bike
or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, how do you? There's a key for it. A physical key
there's
to turn
a code.
It on?
There's a code to turn it on.
And a keypad?
It's actually if you want to. There's like 3 kill switches on this thing. It's pretty wild. Yeah. So if I'm out in public, I do like there's a battery switch and a kill switch. But even if you got those turned on. You then have to know how to turn on the computer, and then there's a code you have to enter. And if you don't know the code, you couldn't turn it on. Now, it weighs about 150 pounds. Could you pick it up and put it in a truck? Sure. Yeah. But that's not, that's the problem with all two-wheeled objects is that they're mobile.
Yeah, we haven't had that much issues with them yet. Of course, it has happened around the world, but not that much yet. Of course, as we get more and more popular, more and more people will potentially want to have one and feel like they don't want to pay for it, but
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So, and then just again, I'm trying. I haven't ridden one. I've only heard Johnny just slobbering all over it. Is it like it's like a motorcycle? So it's a throttle.
Yeah.
Just throttle, brake,
throttle, and then that's your front brake on your right hand, rear brake's left hand. It's got turn signals. It's got a horn.
Turn signals are a thumb switch.
Thumb turn signal, thumb horn, left thumb for both. It's got a headlight. It's got brights, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And actually, here's how efficient the thing is. Without thinking ever, the first time I got on, I turned the brights on thinking that was the headlights. I didn't realize it was always on, so I've been riding around with the brights on. And the other day, I was like, oh, look at that. It's got a
Everyone's like, who's that idiot? Give me the brights.
Yeah, well, but look, I'm using it not like a motorcycle. I'm using it like a neighborhood electric vehicle. Like
I think most people do.
Yeah, I live on a street that it's a 4-lane. I don't live on, but I live near. It's a 4-lane, 2 lanes in each direction. Speed limit's 35. Everyone goes 50, and this can keep up. I can totally cruise with traffic, but what I tend to do is just cross it and just ride it. There's ways to get around Eagle Rock and Glendale. You're
not riding on the sidewalk with this, are you?
I park on the side. I never ride on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little too wide. This one is wide.
The use cases are enormous everywhere. I mean, we have this initiative in Africa, for instance, where we're haunting. We're hunting down the poachers. So
Nice.
it's an anti-poaching
Nice.
initiative. And since we're silent, we have an extremely I say we, but our bikes together with the local rangers has a fantastic rate of catching the or the poachers.
Yeah, and again, it can go in the dirt, and it can go. I don't know. I've seen 56 miles an hour is the fastest I saw, and I was like, that's probably fast enough.
I want to know how you're getting up to that kid space. You take the freeway?
No. I just
I
ride
was
down
gonna
Colorado Boulevard. Actually, to be honest with you, I ride down Yosemite, which is a parallel street. It's a small neighborhood street, and we just go through there. And, with my kid on the back, I go about 25, 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then, but what's great is, at Kid Space, you just ride right up to the front. Like, the people that check you in, they wave at you and they watch it.
All right. So let's
And then you give the kids rides.
let's keep going here. So Cake has been how long in the U.S.?
The Cake has been in the U.S. since about 2019, maybe 2019 or 2020.
The company's how old?
2018, we launched the first one. In 2016, we were founded by Stefan Ytterborn and his two sons.
Okay.
And I jumped on quite early as one of the earlier investors. And then I didn't work with Cake. And then I had a meeting with Stefan. I said, what about us doing some more to B2B kind of initiatives and more of a utility side of things? And he said, yeah, sounds great. Now, we just had the calc and they were planning on the OSA. Started with that, and then I started doing all the kind of distribution deals that we now got going on in like Korea, we got China, there's Mexico, Thailand, and so on, where we're not active ourselves. So we are focusing on North America and Europe ourselves, and then we have fantastic partners
that are covering the rest. And do you know approximately how many markets you're in?
It depends if you count North America as one or three and Europe as one or all the countries and so on. But we have presence in terms of our own sites at 5 locations. And then we have 6 partners in other countries.
Okay.
But I mean, we still sell to a German person online, for instance, or
so you can buy these. You don't have to go to a showroom. I can order one, and
yeah.
it'll somehow get delivered.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's a whole other 3 hours in terms of dealership regulations and so on, where you can sell.
Oh, where? Yes, we know about dealerships. Yes.
Yeah, so that's something else. But in Europe, a little bit easier, and then for all the off-road vehicles and the OIC now, that's got the pedals, also easier.
And when you entered the U.S., was it the first big market, or what was your first? Where was your first major market?
I mean, it's where we're from. We're from Sweden, so Stockholm, and it's still where we have the best traction, I would say.
Okay.
Because in the Stockholm office, we're about 80 people, and then there's approximately 120 around the world. So we're about 200 today.
Okay.
And I would say that Stockholm, somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who's like, wow, you're really making your everyday life so much easier. I want one as well. So companies as well.
You and I, when you came to my house, we spoke about this for a little bit. But if these are truly car replacements, and especially in a place like Sweden, but we have a lot of places in the U.S. that get cold and miserable. So how does that work? Like you just put it away for the winter, or are you just riding in snow? Like what?
It's funny. I have some if you're a lawyer, you go on to court or whatever. This is not the best type of vehicle to ride when it's raining or snowing. But if you're a delivery company in Stockholm and it's snowing, this is the best vehicle because it's chaos. It's cars everywhere. Everyone's sliding to the left and right. I'm not saying it's not a little bit dangerous.
Sure.
But you would at least get there with the warm food or with a package or whatever that is, because it's those days when it's chaos in the traffic, those are the days where we make the most sense. And it's interesting. I was at this panel together with Franz from Tesla. I think that he's been here as well.
Yes, Franz von Holzhausen.
We know that guy. Yeah.
We were at the Peterson Museum and we came to talk a little bit about, okay, so is this replacing the cars or whatever? Are we not car friendly? Of course we are car friendly, but I mean, it's going to take quite a while for us to build another lane on 405.
Yeah.
To avoid the amount of traffic. No matter if it's combustion engines or electric engines, or electric cars, it's still cars. They take up a certain amount of space. So I think that where Cake comes into place in the future and all other types of two-wheelers and robots and drones and stuff, it's like we have a limited space in our city centers, and we are a solution for that. No matter if you're a private person or going to the park, or if you're a delivery company.
Yeah, and again, I mean, like I said, I've just for a lot of reasons, this thing has really spun my just way of looking at like the way cities are put together, where it's like, just a little more accommodation. Like, man, you could really get a lot. I don't know if I want a lot of cars off the road, but you could get a lot of cars off the road, especially like in a sunny place like L.A.
Yeah.
Again, we live on top. Eric, you've been to my house, but we live on top of a big steep hill. It's like a 14-degree incline, and sometimes you want coffee, but you don't feel like walking up the hill afterwards.
Yeah.
And so we would drive, and now 100% of the time I just take this thing.
Yeah.
And
that also is some like if we talked about markets. Yes, it's a little bit more of a time getting used to. If you look at a person living in Rome in Italy, a two-wheeler that's something most
standard.
Yeah. But if you look at the American, it's a big car or a truck or whatever that might be, and that takes a little bit of time getting used to. And that whole journey, that's kind of the journey I talked about before. It's the movement. It's there and it's inevitable, as we said.
Ding. So let me ask you something. So Stockholm, Sweden, high penetration. I mean, the Nordic countries in general have a lot of EV adoption. Like the government's pushed it. These things have solid range, large battery for their size, so they don't. I guess you're not charging that frequently, but you also have a lot of apartment or shared living.
Yeah,
right? Like,
and imagine five bikes in one parking space.
So, but how are they charging if they need to be charged and you live in Stockholm and you don't own your own home, let's say? Is there just one outlet out front? Everybody shares a charger, or is there a charging infrastructure for e-bikes?
No, not yet. I mean, these chargers are just like right into the wall. So most people that we've sold bikes to in Sweden, they just bring the battery with them in. So this big battery that you now have, that's an extra large battery.
It's a very, for an e-bike, it's a very big
We have
battery.
smaller batteries as well. So instead of having like one big battery like the one you have, you could potentially have 3 smaller batteries. So you just bring one in and charge it.
So like on a Monday, hey, you got to go to work, take the battery off the charger, walk down, put it in, and then Friday take it back up, and then put it. Oh, okay, interesting.
It is, and a lot of people bring them actually inside their apartments in some cases as well. Because in Maca, for instance, that's a small one. You can get it into an elevator.
Oh, the whole bike.
The whole bike.
Yeah.
Just get it into there's no smell. I mean, if it's been raining, it could be dirty. But
and like I said, just for fun, I was like, let me do this. And it has a giant Velcro strap, and you take off the connector, and I took the battery in the house and charged it inside for no reason whatsoever.
Pretty interesting.
You could do it.
Anti-theft. It's another anti-theft step too. But that being said, because
real quick, with the battery out, it's a lot lighter, so it's easier to steal.
Yeah. but then there's no pedals.
And then you need the battery itself.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, some people just steal to steal.
Yeah,
let's if it's not locked down.
I mean, most of these have except for the Ike, have a fairly significant sort of flat battery tray. Are batteries from different manufacturers interchangeable, more or less? Is it a similar connector or no?
No, the thing is with these batteries that they have the brain of the bike and what's called the BMS in the battery, everything that talks to the bike. So it's not that easy. We've been looking into a changeable battery infrastructure in Mexico City, for instance, where you can just
swap them. I've seen that.
I sent you that one on
Yeah.
Instagram. This one from Taiwan where you can just
Gogoro.
you pull it out and then put another one in.
It's something else. It's just it's a great idea.
Just if you're listening, what that is, imagine how we used to get newspapers out of vending machines. Imagine your old battery opens the machine, and then you can pull the new charged battery out, and it's just
it's like swapping a propane tank.
It's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, but it is. Imagine if you have different locations. Let's say that LA should be a perfect city for bikes.
Yeah,
but it's not really.
It's bad.
But let's say that let's play with the thought that we're getting more and more bike friendly.
Yeah,
and we have these containers somewhere where you can swing by. You can on the one side change to a new fully loaded battery. On the other side, potentially you can even pick up your packages so that Amazon doesn't have to go all the way to your house because you're going to stop by this location anyway, and then you bring your package.
Right.
And you can clean and make sure that your bike is okay. And I mean, all these kind of infrastructures, we're talking about different cities. So how can we get people commuting on our bikes? How can we make a zero emission zone for deliveries in San Jose that we're having a discussion with now? How can we do all these different things in different cities so that we're actually trying? I know we don't have the solutions of everything, but it's just like one little step in the right direction of making the world a little bit better place.
I know a lot of cities here in California, they have green initiatives, like they have targets to meet. So like something like this would help out.
Do you have them in the hands of any city governments, any like police or meter maids or anybody?
No, not really that we can talk about either, unfortunately. But yeah, there has been discussions with making even fire roads in the Santa Monica Mountains was one idea. Just like letting people actually go riding there so that we create fire roads, because they could make a lot of like traction and get all the old grass out and so on. There's been so many crazy ideas of how we can use it. It's been an idea of using our bikes in parks close to water, where you have the lifesaver things that you throw in the water to make sure that they're still there, so that in case something would ever happen, that they can go there and check it out. And go up and check the electric or the water dam for the electrician, where usually they have to hike up. Now they can use our bikes. We have like 420 national parks around the U.S. where you don't want to disturb the wildlife. You can use our bikes in the back of a truck and roll it off.
And this is real quick. This is interesting. We did this thing famously with Rivian, where we drove one off-road across the United States.
Cool.
And one of the most amazing things we discovered was, because it, especially when the Ram wasn't with us, we had a Ram TRX following us, but the Ram wasn't there. It was just the electric trucks. Like, animals didn't really care that much.
No.
And so we saw like so much wildlife that even Sean Holman, who was our former head of four-wheeler and off-road, he was like, it's remarkable, like going this fast, how much wildlife you see, because it doesn't, it's not hearing the big engine and running away. It's
Should
like
go e-bike across the country.
Me?
No, we.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You could.
No, not me.
You could support my colleague. One of my colleagues here in LA. She's gonna ride our bike from New York to LA in approximately 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
So she's starting in New York in the middle of October and riding through the country.
How do we follow this?
I'll
on
get,
Instagram.
yeah, she's on Instagram. I don't know it by heart, but I'll hook you up.
What's her name?
Jackie Rosenstein.
Jackie Rosenstein Cake e-bike.
Let's see. Ed's live Googling here.
Yeah.
On the recorded podcast.
She's a sales. Oh, Rosie looks like Rosie underscore JJ. Let's see.
Okay.
So she's riding across this, and then we 1.5 years ago we had an incredibly colleague as well, starting in Barcelona, going all the way down to Cape Town.
Oh,
so
wow,
she was
really?
that scary 3.5 months on her own, female, riding through Africa on our bike with one extra battery. So that was a challenge for her to find electricity along the way. But that kind of talks about how durable the bikes actually are. They didn't break down.
I don't doubt that at all. And I think, with our experience with doing the Rivian, I think what's easier with an electric bike is it just does plug into the regular wall socket.
Yeah.
So you're not looking for chargers. You just anywhere that has electricity, and it's even for this big battery, it's a 3-hour charge, which you do sleep. I know everyone's like, no, I drive 7,000 miles a day and I never stop for more than 2 minutes, but you do sleep. So that's fascinating.
What bike is she going to use?
Calc.
A Calc.
So, yeah.
And what's the top speed of the Calc? 60.
Okay, but she's not going to go 60 when you want to go that far and for that long period of time.
Right. So she's going to be real rural. She's not doing highways.
No.
Oh wow.
For those playing at home, the Calc looks like a traditional dirt bike. It looks like a concept dirt bike because it's devoid of an engine,
fairings,
exhaust. No, it's got the long kind of banana seat.
No, but it doesn't have like arrow fairings or anything.
No. But I mean, it looks like a dirt bike. Just two like sort of columns in the center where you'd normally have the engine, no pedals, a giant chain.
Yeah, it's cool.
She'll have a headlight.
Yeah, but you can if you want.
Okay.
You can have it as street legal or off road.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
and that's the other thing we should talk. We talked about it a little bit with the Osa, and I think it's true for the Maka as well. But you guys have a bazillion accessories you can bolt on to these things. Like, could you talk about some of them?
Maybe too many in some sense.
Maybe. But could you talk about what these are? Because that was. Again, when I was, so Spike Ferriston, who I do another podcast with, he was the one who hit me to you guys, and
Does he have one?
He had two in his garage. He had the Calc, and it doesn't interest me at all. But then he had this thing, and again, it looks like this Czech bike. I love this Bomerland. I'm like, what is that? I never even thought about an e-bike before in my life. And he was like, yeah, and then you could just like put this here, put this there, and I just love the utility of it. I've always had this thing for like just weird, like a giant Swiss Army knife. I think they're great, and that's how I kind of saw this. But could you tell us about some of the attachments you can put on the? You talked about the hot and cold pizza box, but
and so some things we have, and some other things people are putting on there on their own. But let's start with what we're offering. It's like extra seats, baskets, different sizes. The heated box. You can have ski racks, surf racks.
The heated box that runs off the battery.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But it also got a battery of its own, actually. But it's kind of a combination of the two.
Okay.
And you can have extra headlights, and you can move the headlights, so it's more of a searchlight, for instance.
Right.
It's perfect together with the electric boats nowadays. So, like if you live in an apartment.
Well, what's an electric boat?
You have Swedish brands called X-Shore, Candela boats.
It makes sense. I just had never.
No, it's. I mean, if you look at X-Shore, they're pushing a lot of water, so it's not. It's a heavy boat, but Candela, for instance, they are an hydrofoil, which is pretty cool. But the idea of having an apartment in the city and going down with your electric bike and then just plug in the bike at the dock and go out on the boat and then just a day in silence, it's pretty cool. So there's a bunch of, you can have what I wanted to say with that is you can bring your fishing gear or whatever you want.
Right.
You can have a trailer behind it. I mean, if you're a food delivery company, you have a trailer. You don't have to be late. You still squeeze. The idea is not being too wide, so that you can still always kind of squeeze through traffic or make your way.
And that and it's just funny how that works. Like when we don't walk the kid to school, and if I do take him on the bike, our neighbor has a kid in the same school. And sometimes we walk to school together. If we don't, they'll leave in their car, and I'll be on the bike. And I beat him to school every time, and I beat him back every time. And not just I'm not like doing anything illegal. It's just I can go ways that a car can't go.
Yeah.
I just cruise through the neighborhood, and it is.
It helps the city infrastructure a lot.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Do you have any interesting companies, like delivery companies? Like, does Domino's Pizza in Sweden use cake bikes or something? Is there anything like that?
We've talked with Domino's plenty of times.
Okay.
It's like some are franchised, some are owned by Domino's. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to get in. And to be honest, one of our challenges that we've had in general is that we've built bikes that last. So which means that if you have never tried an electric bike before, you could potentially tend to go and buy a much cheaper bike, and then it's just going to break down on you all the time. Potentially. I'm not saying that it has to be... Yep.
It's not inevitable it's going to break down. But I have heard from a lot of people I know that have e-bikes that they are kind of always in the shop and like, is there a good bike shop?
Exactly. And that was kind of the whole, we had a dialogue with a delivery company in Manhattan. And he said that we have approximately 60% of our bikes out there. The other 40% is in the shop. So I was just like, okay, but then you should try ours out because I can look at the total cost of ownership. And then you would actually make more with our bikes, even though they will cost you initially. And we've proven that here and there, different delivery companies in Sweden, in the US, larger, smaller ones. And I mean, yes, you just have to be sure that you have a business model that are either accepting two-wheelers in terms of in your like setup, or where you're ready to give it a try. So we talked with DHL back in the days, and it says, okay, what we really should do is to bring a big truck a little bit outside the city center and then use that as a hub, as a mobile warehouse, and then you use our bikes to go and deliver. Because now there's so many people who are actually ordering online that the stops are so close to each other. So you should really have, and then you can have another truck filling up the mobile warehouse, so to say. But then they have to change their whole system, and that's a big step for.
Right, that's probably the cost.
Exactly, like FedEx or DHL, and it's just complicated.
But if you have I'm just thinking out loud, if you have like a mobile warehouse, you can have like 10 bikes going out from the one van.
Yeah. And we're doing this trial actually in San Jose. So it's a Swedish truck company, electric company called Volta.
We know Volta, sure. Yeah.
So Volta trucks and cake bikes will deliver goods together with the large delivery companies in the city center of San Jose as a pilot.
And you're using the OSA for the deliveries?
We will probably use both the Maca and the OSA.
Okay.
Just for us to get all the data that we need to see the difference.
Oh, because it's a trial program.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're delivering grocery stores to 10 different homes, then you would like the OSA with the trailer. But if you're delivering packaging like from the pharmacist or something, they're usually so small. Yeah, and you just use a Maca with a box in the front and a little basket in the back. That will do just fine.
Yeah, and for those again, this is a podcast. The Osa is the weird looking. It's got this bar that runs.
That's why you love it, Johnny.
I call it the orthopedic shoe because it's so functional. Like this is
all right. The Maka is
all right.
The Maka is more of a step through. It's a
scooter.
It's an easier to get in to get. You know, I can imagine somebody just sort of.
If you're wearing a big skirt, you want to be a kilt. You want to wear drive the Maka.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until the wind hits you.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of people they don't want to throw their legs over something.
Nope. That's the main reason why we put the Maka on the market after those.
Right.
The delivery people and other people got a little bit tired of jumping on and off all the time.
And when you have that bar up top and the battery's higher and everything, it's just a higher center of gravity. So it's like I don't know if I told you didn't. I don't know if you heard. I talked about on spikes, but I had a little 0 mile per hour crash the other day. Yeah. I can tell you, the bike's very tough. Yeah. My leg, not so much. No, what happened was you have to see my driveway, but I came home, and in between me leaving and coming home, my wife had covered the driveway with a tent, 3 bags of clothes for Goodwill, and 4 trash bags. So where I normally park was suddenly taken up. So I stopped really short, but I was at like a 45-degree angle facing up, and didn't get my foot down in time, and I got a giant cut. But bike's fine. But it's heavy. That's the thing. It's a heavy object. I imagine the Maka, all the weight is like around below your knee.
It's super light, and it's got the hub engine. It's super smooth.
Oh, it's a hub engine. Oh, that's cool.
And the Maka, you can have the key in your phone, for instance, so you don't have to have that code.
That one sounds like what I like.
Yeah. Very smooth and simple.
Aside from Johnny, do you have any other celebrity endorsers? Do you have any famous people on that you can talk about that are cake?
I don't know which ones we can talk about, but I can tell you that there's been a lot of interest because as soon as you have a product that looks like ours and has the kind of premium touch to it, and also these the specs that we do, it's been a huge interest. So, and some have bought the bikes, and some has just borrowed bikes, and some still have bikes. They've been
not giving them back.
Well,
some Netflix.
He's been out of the country, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a core critical question. They look cool. I am excited. They are expensive. Surely you have people. There's nothing in here that's totally out of the just crazy high technology proprietary, right? Like what are people copying your designs?
Well, there's one really. I'm happy I don't remember the name of it, but
nice.
There's one really bad copy in sense of it's actually
very close.
Yeah, if you
lawyers involved. Close?
Yeah. That one that's not okay.
It's like cake with a K or something.
Yeah, kind of. So that one I must say that's below the belt. But
Cake
other
UK.
than but the rest, I mean. I'm nothing against competition. Is fantastic. So
sure.
So it's great, in many ways.
Yeah,
but that one, no.
What's the total market right now for electric bikes and electric motorcycles, like in terms of units?
I think in units, I don't know. I think I read somewhere. Could it be $5 billion in the U.S.?
Oh, in terms of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what that means, but
I mean either. It's too many zeros. But the only thing that I kept in mind is that within 5 years, it's going to be triple.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So for me, it's just like, okay, so we're in the right space. We got the right product. We just kind of...
And Eric, you're the devil. Yeah. Because have you ever seen the movie... have you seen the movie... oh, God. Now I'm going to...
That's a nice thing to say.
Thank you.
Wall-E. Have you seen Wall-E?
Wall-E, yeah.
Wall-E, right?
Yeah, first movie date with my wife.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so...
Strange movie to go and see with you, but
I've never seen it. Yeah.
So the Pixar movie Wall-E, right? The robot, he's abandoned the planet and whatever. He tries to get on the ship. Do you remember what the humans looked like on that ship?
Yeah, fat and lazy.
Fat and lazy, sitting around on their electric pods, getting shuttled around as they're drinking their drinks and watching their MotorTrend on demand.
Oh, yeah definitely watching that.
Isn't your company just facilitating the demuscleization of taking us away from? We should be pedaling bicycles, not not twisting or the only muscle you're going to activate is
No, but this is a fantastic conversation. We'll give you a free gift card for a Peloton. No, I think yeah, in many ways, yeah, cars and everything. We're a lazy bunch of. I mean, that's the whole humor in that movie. Is that
Yes.
we're as soon as we can make a lazy choice, we'll make it.
They fell out of their chairs. They couldn't get up. That was the thing, right?
Well, I would say this though: if as long as you turn, I mean, you're using a lot of core muscles on these things.
Come on.
No, but I mean, there's so many things that we do that we do out of laziness in an everyday life that we don't want to
and by the way,
pinch in
Ed,
buttons. We want to scan a car, all these things. So yes, of course, we would want to have pedals on it, but it could also be annoying to have pedals if you're gonna pedal for 2 hours to work and 2 hours home every day.
If I can good cop for a second here, what the tripling of the market in, you said 5 years?
Yeah.
That actually sounds a little low. There are certain
I'll check it out.
products,
Yeah.
where like once you experience them, there's no going back type thing. And like I think with like EV ownership, yes, you hear people that like, yeah, I had a Tesla, I hated it, but most people they're like, I would never buy a gas car again. It's crazy to. And I think with these, as I don't know about bicycle replacements or car replacements, it just as like another thing to have, another tool in the. I
don't want another thing to plug in and have to worry about.
Well, yeah, you do. Everything in your house is plugged in.
Yeah.
I still have my bicycle.
Yeah.
And I live in a hilly neighborhood. I'm resisting the purchase of an e-bike.
That's Ed. I don't have a bicycle, and I haven't had one since I had a really bad crash.
Primarily because I don't have enough room for another bike. No, I mean I have a beach cruiser. I have a fold-up bike. My wife's got a beach cruiser. All those take up now about half of a car in the garage. Just parking them. So
I would say it's about time and priorities.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're going to use it for as well.
It's just one of those things though. Like even if I had a bicycle, the amount of time it would take me to go get dog food versus it would be triple. You know what I mean? Like this is a real. You can go as fast as a car.
All right, hang on.
Could
you where our office is?
Yeah.
Aviation.
Yeah.
My kid basically, it's one street over, but let's say he's in daycare.
Yeah.
Off of Aviation.
Yeah.
And I live
I know where
almost
you
3
live.
miles.
I've been to your house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be able to convince my wife that I could take my kid?
Your wife?
To daycare on an e-bike.
No, your wife is very protective. My wife, I was like, I'm going to put Richard on this thing. She's like, oh, cool.
But would you like Aviation? Is that? I mean,
I would go one street away from Aviation. I'd go on a quieter street because you can go just as fast.
Yeah, but I went every day on PCH.
Yeah, you definitely look. You could,
yeah,
and it's no problem, and that's what's again. It's such like if I want to go slow in the bike lane, which I guess I shouldn't. I don't know anything about the law, but like it looks like a bike, And then if you want to like
you mean,
go
looks like a
with,
motorcycle. Look like a bike.
It looks like a bicycle. And then if you want to go with traffic in the city, you can go with traffic. So it's like this kind of this dual mode.
I have a gap of about 3 weeks from when I turn in this ID4 until I get the Lightning.
And then you can borrow his also.
Okay. Yeah.
He's not going to give it to me.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Sure.
And it's also an aspect of having fun. You have one life, and you want to have fun. So if some people really want to have our bikes.
Not Ed.
Just riding.
I have one life. I have an M1 license. There's a reason I don't own a motorcycle.
No, but you could go up to like Hungry Valley and just ride with your buddies. It's amazing up there. It's super. It's like trails for riding. It's so much fun.
We still got to do that.
Yeah, we have to do
we're
that.
Planning that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we touched on it. You actually started to go down this path. And this is a question I was thinking about this morning what am I going to ask this e-bike guy? Well, it turns out there's a lot. Turns out there's a lot, right? I do think we're in a moment where, okay, so again, I live in Redondo Beach. And if you're ever by the beach, you know that e-bikes, not electric motorcycles, but e-bikes are really like the rage. All the kids ride them.
On that side of town. On my side of town, I see one other.
I know. But they're all
rich people like Ed.
Well, no, it is kind of the thing to have when you're in high school. All the kids it's terrible. They're all riding around
doing wheelies.
Most of them are not wearing helmets.
Doing wheelies.
The girls are in their what are you wearing? Too short, and then they have flip flops on. If you fall, you're just going to be road rash, like the whole thing. But the bigger picture is, and this is again why I think EVs in general are inevitable. I think kids these days, this is their entry point into bicycles, is e-bikes. We're now 10 years past the debut of the Tesla Model S, you know there are kids out there who their first car, they took their driver's license test in mom's or dad's Tesla. They've gone to college now. They're probably driving a Tesla. They cannot go back.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they've been plugging in their phone. They're digital natives, so a phone has been in their hand since they were able to whatever,
Right.
do multiplication. Everything is about electrified devices. Charging is not an issue. They don't really think about it, and they're not part of the electromechanical or analog revolution or generation. They're part of the electrified or the digital generation. So I don't know if there's a question in there, but
I can answer something too, even though it's not a question. What we've tried to do is at an early stage in life, from where you're 2, we have a balanced bike.
Yeah, I saw that.
We have a little bike when you're like 5, 6 years old.
Oh yeah.
And we have another one where you're around 8 to 10 years old, which is
Right.
electric.
Right,
And with the only reason of that is getting kids from a young age used to being on 2 wheels, finding the balance and understanding how they can live and
Trap True. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, those are the product names.
Yeah,
Trip is the balance bike.
Yeah.
Trap is the pedal bike. True
Ooh,
looks like a mini. dirt bike.
I like that the pedal one there because my kid needs a new bike. That's about the right size.
Yeah. Just so that they learn how to be on 2 wheels in a safe way, as safe as possible. And yeah, I think that there's so many different ways of being in 2 wheels where you have to just either do it a lot, be open to learning about it, educate yourself, as we said before. Don't go that fast, but you can be awake when you ride. And all those things, if you start at an early age, it would be much easier for you. And I really think that we can't have city centers in the future with all these cars and trucks. It's not going to work.
And it seems to be. I mean, I know. Like, is it Oslo? They've banned internal combustion in the city of Oslo.
I think they're at least planning on doing it.
London is starting to You're going to pay a lot of money if you want to
They've
turn an
already done
engine
it.
on.
New York is now 25 mile an hour speed limit on the entire.
Yeah, photos everywhere.
And New York also, though, we've done it a little tiny bit here, but New York's been ripping out streets for cars and putting in and it's kind of fantastic. Like you go to I don't know, 34th and Broadway, I think it is, like where the Macy's is, and they've no cars allowed. It's this huge green space and just people walking, sitting. They've got cafes, whatever restaurants.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like I said, I've just really been rethinking. Like cars won, especially in Los Angeles. This city is cars won out. Just that it's a car city. Nobody walks in LA, but I've just because of your product and I've just been like, maybe we really did make a mistake, and and everything's in a way fixable.
So, Johnny, it's great having you. Last podcast on MotorTrend. We do have an agenda at MotorTrend. We are car first.
I'm still
we love cars.
Out of my cold dead hand, you'll take my cars. I'm just saying, but
just cars on the weekends. Yeah.
No. But like you're saying, for urban centers, I'm not saying if you live on a farm, no car. I'm not saying. I'm just saying for urban centers.
Yeah.
And again, we know the world is moving towards urbanization. Cities are getting bigger and bigger. I think Tokyo is still the biggest city in the world, over 30 million people. Cars are cool and all, but in a city center, there probably should be. I'll just say there should be alternatives to that.
Yeah, there's one thing that we can't get more of, and it's time. So why would you want to spend an unnecessarily amount of time sitting in your car looking at the car in front of you if you don't have to?
Yeah.
But that's the important part, because sometimes you have to.
Yep.
It's too far, you got to bring a lot of stuff.
No, totally.
Bring your
And I would
family
also
out. But
say,
if you
though,
don't have to and just go to buy those groceries or coffee beans, then you should be on something else. If it's a bike with pedals, if you like the exercise, fine. Or if it's one of our bikes, if you want to go a little bit further, also fine. There's alternatives for each kind of.
But it's interesting you said time. I was going to say land, but it's interesting you said time because we recently had Jim Farley on, and I think somebody else recently, maybe Doug Field, was saying this is like what's the point of autonomy? Really, is that you're giving people their time back. No, Farley said it too. Yep. But giving people their time back, and that's. Honestly, what the biggest thing I felt is it's just so much quicker.
Yeah.
Imagine. If those listening, you're going to run your errands and you don't have to think about parking. It's just not even a thing to even think about because you can just stick it in front of the store. You know what I mean? Like it's great, and I'm running errands, and it just saves time. It's crazy.
Until everybody else does it, and there's no place to park.
Well, but if everyone else is doing it, then the parking lots will be empty, and like you said, you could put 5 of these in the space that one car takes up. Yeah. So.
And in terms of autonomy, as you mentioned, we have a 4-wheeled concept that is autonomous. So it's for the agriculture space. So let's say that you're in a vineyard and you're picking your grapes.
Right.
You have this little cake 4-wheeler called the Kib following you. And then when you're done, when it's full, you just tell it to go back with the grapes, and it'll bring the grapes back to the.
And it's not spewing out diesel.
No.
So interesting. So I was going to ask you just to go a little more into the future of what you do, but also what the company's doing. So you have an autonomous angle.
Yeah.
Okay. But it obviously
a 4-wheeled angle.
Not an autonomous 2-wheel angle.
No.
Yeah. But I mean, there are a couple of motorcycles that could balance and ride around,
which is cool.
But so you have that tracks because most electric vehicle manufacturers are working on autonomy, are working on a future state where the driver doesn't need to do anything. But nearer term, you're the chief growth officer, and you've been traveling. What have you been doing? Where have you been going?
Oh, wow. So I started with Cake 3.5 years ago. I'm an old friend of Stefan and our CEO. I always admired his entrepreneurship. So as I told you, I invested early, and then we had a meeting. And then I started just with all different kinds of initiatives. Maybe we should need a larger battery. Maybe we needed more utility aspects and stuff on the bike to bring more. I see all these motorcycles like in Mexico City, and they bring stuff on their homemade kind of things on these bikes instead of us just doing it correctly from the start. So that's one side of things where I've looked at our products. And then I looked at all new potential markets. So what we could do with the poachers in Africa, so the anti-poaching bike that we put out there. I've looked at new markets such as Korea, Japan, Mexico, and so forth. And then I've had the responsibility for North America, and that's why I moved here for the past 2 years, which I'm now not focusing on as much as I'm working on Mexico partnership, as well as another huge partnership that I'll be proud to talk to you about sometime in the nearest future, but I can't tell you today.
Right. Okay.
So those 2 projects right now takes up a lot of my time. So now the team in the U.S. are kind of taking care of themselves for right now. That's also the reason why I'm in Sweden at the moment.
We should chat about Mexico. We're probably by the time this goes out, we have a documentary on Chinese car manufacturers in Mexico and the explosion that's going on. So it'll be interesting. We talked to everybody, BYD. We talked to Chery, a bunch. We talked to the guy from the Brookings Institute all about the economy down there. I'm interested as you go into. This is a premium product in the U.S. and it looks like in Europe. Do you have a lower level, an entry level in other markets?
Good question. So what we've tried to do, or not tried, what we've done and accomplished is like we enter these markets with our existing models, but we're not expecting a quantity in that sense where we're going to change the whole way people getting around. That's in the same way as we do here in the U.S. and in Europe. We have financing alternatives, so you only have to pay like $5 a day, which means that they're really easy accessible for a lot of people. But when we come to these different markets, yes, we start off with our own models to inspire, to set the standard, and then we're making bikes for that specific market.
So in other words, you go into a market, you learn about it, and you're like, we could do this, and come up with a more appropriate price point to that market.
But we work together with local representation. So if you talk about Mexico, for instance, we work together with Italica. So Italica is their, I think they're assembling approximately 5,000 motorcycles a day. Wow. So it's a huge company.
Wow, that is huge.
Yeah, and they're not the premium segment. So it wouldn't work to sell our normal bikes through their channels. We wouldn't attract the right people, and it wouldn't be a nice fit. But together with them, we're now launching something that's in between, something that would attract. That would be premium, that would be cake, but we still breathe a little bit of them. So if we can adapt to those local markets in that way, we're focusing on doing the same thing in China as well as in Mexico. And
Are you looking at other Spanish like Central and South America?
First step is
Mexico's the first step.
Mexico,
Brazil.
Brazil is
big.
Yeah, and it's difficult in terms of import taxes, and you have
It's a brick country. Yes.
Yeah.
It's doable, but I think that it's for us it's smart to do it in Mexico because we can also take some of the learnings from that in terms of assembly for the North American market.
Okay.
So that means that we can work with them on a Mexico-specific bike, while we also potentially could do the assembly for the US and Canada.
Yeah.
Do you have any cool military applications?
We don't have any better applications than any others.
What does that mean?
No, I'm
It's
just
a staff
saying,
bike. Sergeant rides it around. Yeah.
No, the bikes are great for military in many senses. I spoke with the military in the U.S. And I got a little afraid of the sentence where they said we love e-bikes because when we go in silent.
Right,
Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
And I was like, okay. And you know what? They blow up perfectly when we have to leave without a trace. And I was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Maybe we don't want to. We'll take up these conversations at a later
I was
stage.
going to say, you could bring a lot of munitions in with the OSA.
I was going to
It's a
say,
strong bike.
I'd love a mil spec. Give me the olive drab with the steel wheels.
Yeah, with the M16 rack.
No, I mean we're kidding, but we're not kidding. General Motors, they make the Hummer truck. They have a stripped down version from GM Defense that basically is the Hummer without all the cladding on it, and it's painted flat black with steel wheel or flat green with steel wheels, and it's quiet.
Yeah,
sneaking
it's
around.
great. I mean, in general, Sweden is a very neutral country.
Right.
So we've said let's stay
cool
out of.
weapons.
We do. No, let's not talk about Saab and the weapons stuff. But just saying
I
that.
was going to say, I've been to a NATO base in
We're trying to be neutral in the way people talk about it.
Neutral in spirit.
Exactly, we're neutral in spirit. So what we said initially is just like, let's stay out of that. But yes, there has been interest, and of course, they can be used in many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's not that often you see bad publications with somebody on a two-wheeler, and how are they going to hold the weapon, and yada yada. So I think
that'd be hard. Yeah.
So maybe let's just look at it in a way where maybe our bikes is perfect for like first aid in different military.
Sure.
Where we can go in and rescue people and get them out in silence. And,
By the way, I've also witnessed the B-52 land up in above the Arctic Circle in Sweden. So
oh, cool.
yeah.
No, I mean you could drop one of the off-road cake e-bike. It's like 100. We already established it's 100 pounds lighter than a 125cc.
Yeah.
It's fully charged.
Than the Honda, yeah.
Yeah, you could probably find some place to charge it or carry an extra battery, whatever.
I mean, like I said, what's
the
neat
Bourne identity
as opposed to electric cars, which you can plug an electric car into the wall socket, but it's hours and 24 hours to charge, whereas a couple hours in a wall socket fully charges it.
So you came in, I saw you, I pulled in behind you. You pulled up with the cool, I think the Maca. No,
that's the Calc.
The Calc, yes, you Calc in the bed of your screaming orange Tundra TRD Pro.
Hybrid. Important.
Can you? You probably can't do it in that one because even I think ours we have one, and I think, but in a Lightning or a Ford with Pro Power
or a
Assist
Rivian
or Rivian, could you charge it?
Yeah, I can charge it on the Tundra as well.
You can charge it on the Tundra while driving around.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You can. I actually didn't drive around, but I tried on the Rivian to see if it would charge it, and no problem at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great. I mean, I'm thinking the future, all the Rangers everywhere, just have it in the back of the bed, and then whenever you come to a dead end or whatever, you need to go and somebody's been in a bike accident in a like a mountain bike area or a ski resort or something, just take the bike up there and help them.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many use cases that it's crazy.
Right.
And I would say that's a little bit of the difficulty in all this. It's just like a lot of choices, a lot of accessories, a lot of use cases. And
so
it's just
let me ask you then, like, how do you decide what to focus on?
Yeah,
like you, because you're the growth officer. It's like, if everyone's coming to you with 100 ideas, like you're
and I got 1,000 myself.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So how do you do you have a process, or is it just like gut feeling?
No. There's a process, and there's of course what do we have to do near term, What do we have to do in long term? So I have an agenda in my head of what 3 things do we need to do now before Christmas, and what do we need to focus on? Could that be emptying the warehouse, or could that be getting this product out and running because we have a delivery company that needs that, for instance? So they come to us and say, we need this or that. Let's make that happen. Let's focus on that and prioritize that right now. And then, of course, how are we going to be still premium and different and something unique in 1 year or 2 years? It's like, what markets is it important for us to take market share in early, and how do we need to change or upgrade our product along the way? Like, for instance, like your bike has just been moved. That's in our applications. If somebody would move your bike a meter or a yard, you'll get a notification.
Right.
It's like, and then I'll just write it all down, and then you have to prioritize it and see what you need for what markets and when you need it, I would say. But I mean, we've grown so much, you know. We got orders, like 200,000 orders.
Oh wow!
And we're
200,000 orders is significant. I mean, that's a lot.
We have a bright future ahead of us.
That's good.
But we, of course, as any other startup, there's a working capital that's going up and down, and there's challenges along the way. There's just in the U.S., as we said, there's 50 different states, regulations. I mean, I wouldn't say that one day is never the other day alike. So it's just always new challenges. So I would say being a growth officer and working with an amazing team in Sweden and in the US, it's all about just like having each other's backs and just making sure that at the end, making a good as product as possible for the end consumer, whatever those needs are.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right, sell us a little bit here. It's if you want to find one, you want to buy one, you want to check it out, it's ridecake.com, right?
Yep.
In the US. And I'm looking on your site right now, and in California, you have 6 locations. You have 2 in Los Angeles. There's Cake site in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so we have our own sites. You should really come down, especially you on the way home one day, because it's on Lincoln. So
in Venice.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So you should really swing by. We got all the models there. You can go test ride them, and we're open all days. Maybe not on Sundays at the moment, but just swing by and give it a try. Then we're in the same way. We have a location in New York, Paris, Milan, and Stockholm at the moment.
Those are official company
stores.
Okay.
And then we have initially we said no to wholesale and partners, but since we kind of need it due to all the dealership laws in the US, we've opened up that possibility just a couple of months back. So we haven't been a traditional wholesale company before, but we're now kind of entering that on our home turfs, which is North America and Europe.
Okay.
So we're open to more and more partners around the US and in Europe to support with service and local marketing and initiatives and so forth.
But I could, if let's say I don't live in LA or I'm not close to New York, if I I'll do anything Johnny says. I love it.
I love Ed's weird.
Yeah, he's changing
I love it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to buy one. Can they just
an impression?
Can they just buy one off the site?
Yeah.
And how long does it take to ship?
1.5 weeks from we start the talk. We have the warehouse in Long Beach. And again, I don't want to go into exact details. Like if you live in New Mexico, maybe you're not allowed to be direct sales to New Mexico.
Right,
then we need to
but
go
for
through
the most
a partner.
part, yeah.
But you'll finance an $11,000.
You can finance through potentially 5 different solutions. So there's all kind of like balloon financing,
Your
there's
bike,
leasing,
credit
there's
union.
Yeah, Klarna, a Swedish company, of course, and so on. So it's, I mean, the biggest issue that you do have is that anyone who's really dying to get it on credit is unfortunately some of the times not the ones with the best credit score.
Yeah,
Right.
But that's the same for any other product. But yeah, so it's super. It's we're making it more easy and easier to access for anyone. You know, we've been looking into subscription models. It's a bit difficult in terms of insurance wise. But we're getting closer and closer to have something really bulletproof. I mean, we launched a subscription model that works out of Stockholm, but now you need to find that in all our different states, and it's a big job.
It's tricky because everyone's trying to figure out subscription for cars, and like it's hard. It's
it is
hard. A hard thing.
It would be great because if you look at the newer or the younger generations, they're not as keen on owning stuff.
Right, and they have nowhere to put it.
No. So they might just like,
Yeah.
if you're off to college, just as an
Right.
example, and then you might want to have a bike for a year, you can just subscribe it that year and then return it to us.
Right.
That's the whole idea of it.
Right. Interesting.
Great.
I have one last question, and
Yeah.
then Ed might have another. But OSA, what does OSA mean?
So OSA is actually ÖSA in Swedish.
ÖSA?
So it's ÖSA.
ÖSA?
Yeah.
Umlaut, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So and that's a carpenter, a actual person
okay.
with that nickname that lives on the same island.
Okay.
So the same island where calc limestone comes from. He's a friend of our CEO and owner.
so it's a guy's nickname.
Yeah, it's a guy's nickname. So he's just like, this would be great when I go and do this and that, and we're just like,
So it's a
we'll
guy
just-
named
yeah.
OSA who is a carpenter.
Yeah, exactly. So we just-
Okay.
And that's why the frame looks like a 2x4 piece of wood.
Well,
Hey,
but you can. I've seen pictures. I've
Yeah.
seen pictures of it where they've got 2x4s like strapped to
Exactly.
it.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. It's pretty
We
wild.
even did the photo shoot with a bass player on it, and we just went out, just like plugged in the amp to the battery and played out in nature. So it's not very quiet in that sense, but
yeah,
it's a
hey.
fun thing to do.
Swedish death metal.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope so.
There's a lot of Swedish death metal. You know?
Yeah.
Believe me, I've heard
do you
about
have Opeth? Do you have Michael Ackerfeld riding around on one of these?
yeah.
I know him. I
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Nice
No,
guy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Great
have any
band.
other questions for you. This was awesome.
Yeah. This is. I mean, it's interesting. It's just one of those weird things that has really was from nowhere to kind of getting everywhere. Electric bikes. Like a friend of mine in Manhattan Beach was telling me that they went to like back to school night for the parents, and the principal says, the biggest danger facing our students is, and they thought it was going to be fentanyl, and it was electric bikes.
Yeah, but that's again like they're like young and they're on their bikes and they cut that wire. They go too fast. So it's Cake has chosen a little bit more of a Apple way where it's we kind of control how fast it goes and we follow all the rules and regulations. Then it's kind of up to you if you want to buy something that goes faster. And if you don't have the driver's license, that's your choice.
Right.
But we're following as we're the manufacturer, and we have all the different certifications and for whatever big indicators you can have and so forth. So,
And I don't think that example is any different from when we were kids and bikes were not electrified. It's just that, when you're young and you learn how to ride a bike and you start going to whatever grade school or in high school, you're going to be dumb. You're not going to pay attention.
Oh.
You're not going to strap the helmet if you're going to wear a helmet at all. But then that whole problem is amplified.
Helmet. Who wore a helmet?
Exactly. The whole problem is amplified by the speeds these things can go.
Sure.
And that just takes it to the next
Although,
level.
I mean, I spent, my elementary, junior high, and high school years on a bike that, trying to do a wheelie while bouncing on pegs, spinning a handlebar around, falling on my head. So,
Right.
and you haven't touched on the topic, which most people do, why we're called Cake.
I was just interested about OSA, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, but have you ever, talking about helmets, have you ever heard of the helmet company called POC, P-O-C?
Oh, yeah.
No.
No, so it's ski helmets, it's armor, it's so forth. So our founder, Stefan Ytterborn, that's his old company. So POC stands for Piece of Cake.
Oh,
So
piece of
that's the name.
cake.
So that was the piece of the cake, and now it's the rest of the cake. Because a lot of people ask us why. I mean, when we pull out with our cars, they're like, "Oh, is that baker in there?" It's like, no. It's
So I'll check that out because my one complaint is that I need to get a helmet with like a clear visor.
Yeah.
Not a full face, but just like a clear visor because like when it's cold, you're going so fast that the wind.
You're going fast? I thought you were going less than 25. I'm kidding.
With my kid. No, I'll go 45 like everyone else when I'm on the street. But you know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, I see those guys in those visor.
You need a full face, but with the bubble visor.
The bubble
You need
visor.
like
Yeah.
the dorky bubble visor.
The dorky. Yeah.
I was gonna say
I'll
Cake
paint it.
because maybe you guys are really into. Cake has a different term. You can look up some of the terms that cake means on the internet. I'll just leave it at that.
Wow, Ed, you had to go there.
Yeah. We'll have a look.
We're ending the episode.
Right. Well,
So Eric,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
I'm so
Thank
glad
you for
this
having
worked
me.
out. Yeah.
Great
Fantastic.
conversation.
Yeah.
Ridecake.com if you want to check out all of the bikes we talked about. Electric motorcycles, electric bikes. Maybe
Check us out on Instagram and so forth as well for some inspiration.
What is that? Cake?
That's Ride Cake. as
Ride
well.
Cake.
Yeah.
Everything's
On
ride
Instagram.
cake.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
So check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff there. And there you can also find a lot of the different people that owns our bikes. I mean, we had a cool picture out and about with JR, an artist with Robert De Niro on the back in New York. And Yeah, there's a bunch of different artists and famous people, but since I don't know who's comfortable with knowing who we're going to ride with and here and back and owning what, so
Check out
just
the
leave it at
Instagram.
that. Just check out Instagram
Right,
and you'll see it all
cool.
there. You know.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a true honor. Thanks, guys.